Hi, and welcome to That's Ready Mysterious. Join me for an intriguing look into real-life mysteries. Who was the mad gasser of Mattoon? What was whaling at the Wilga waterhole? I'm not going to solve those mysteries, but they'll be interesting to learn about. I'm your host, Kelly with an I. Transcripts and references for all episodes can be found at that'sreadymysterious.wordpress.com. No apostrophe and no exclamation point. Today's tale is about the giant stone circles in the Middle East. The circles have been called the Middle East's own version of the Nazca lines by Live Science. They are known as big circles. There are more than 12 circles in 3 different countries. There are 12 in Jordan, 1 in Syria, and 2 in southeastern Turkey. In west-central Jordan, there are 8 big circles between Wadi al-Hassa and the edge of the Shara escarpment. There are 4 more north of the Azraq oasis. All of the circles are close to identically built. Their design is too close to be a coincidence, according to archaeologist David Kennedy, researcher at University of Western Australia. Does this mean they all had the same purpose? David Kennedy founded the Aerial Photographic Archive for Archaeology in the Middle East, or APAAME, in 1978 and was co-director of the Aerial Archaeology in Jordan, or AAJ, project beginning in 1997. A 2011 Live Science article says there are thousands of circles that have been found using satellite mapping. Most of the big circles are found in desert or semi-desert areas, but 3 of them have been found in areas with obvious evidence of ancient agriculture. Kennedy explained that there are almost 400 mysterious stone structures that date back thousands of years and which have been discovered in Saudi Arabia, with a few of the wall-like formations reaching across old lava domes. The study of the circles got a little bit easier in 1995 when United States President at the time, Bill Clinton, ordered the declassification of old CIA satellite images. The study got even easier when Google Earth became available in 2001. Then it got easier still in 2008 when imagery of the circles became available. The stone circles are best seen from above. They can't really be seen from the ground. Kennedy explained that sometimes when you're looking at them from the ground, you can see a bit of a pattern, but not easily. He said that if you go up even just a few hundred feet, the patterns come into focus and you can identify the shape. Kennedy believed that the circles were clearer when they were built. He said that people have been walking over and through them for centuries, or even millennia, without knowing what they were walking on. He also explained that even though the circles are best identified from above, they're still best studied from the ground. In Jordan, the huge circles are nearly perfect. They're between 220 meters, or about 721.5 feet, and 445 meters, or about 1,460 feet in diameter. The largest is close to 3 times the size of an Olympic running track. The circles are made up of local, roughly cut boulders, none being more than 1 meter or about 3 feet high. The circles are often found in lava fields. The stone formations include wheels, pendants, which are lines of stone cairns that run from burials, walls that are several hundred feet long with no practical purpose, and kites, which are shapes used to direct animals into an area frequently for slaughter. The most interesting of the formations are called big circles by archaeologists, sometimes referred to as wheels. These circles are at least 2,000 years old. There is some evidence that they were built in prehistoric times, or times before they had written language. A lot of the stones in the circles date back to the Chalcolithic and early Bronze Age, between 4,500 and 2000 BC. But some have more recent materials at their locations, which date back to the Roman period, between the 1st and 7th centuries BC. The circles are made up of stones piled a few feet high and made into circles about 400 meters or 1,312 feet in diameter. The big circles were first discovered in modern times by aircraft flying overhead in the 1920s. The aircraft were running airmail routes over Jordan. In 1927, Royal Air Force Flight Lieutenant Percy Maitland published a story about ruins in the journal Antiquity. He said that he had found circles over lava country and that the circles, along with other stone structures, are known to the Bedouin who live in the area as the works of old men. In 2014, Kennedy explained to the Washington Post that 60 years passed before anyone noticed the circles again, and that only since about 2004 had they started flying over the country looking for more circles. The circles have received more attention because David Kennedy used long-term aerial photographs to document archaeological sites in the Middle East. An ancient Roman road cuts through one of the circles, indicating that the circle predates the Roman Empire. His findings were published in Zeitschrift für Orient Archaeology in 2013. Researchers don't know who built the circles, or why they did it. The walls are too low to pen animals, and the shape isn't right for pens. There are also no openings in the circles, so people would have to jump the walls to get inside. That makes the circle unsuitable for cattle. If the circles would be seen from up close, on the ground, we might be able to learn more about them, but that's difficult. An aerial study is easier. Kennedy says that the circles wouldn't have been difficult to build. They would have taken a dozen people about a week to build a circle, but the precision of the circles would have required a lot of planning. He explained that they are nearly precise circles, which would have taken one person acting as the architect. This architect would have tied a rope to a post and walked in a circle to make the shape of the circle. He said that this would explain the errors in the circles where the land was uneven. There are a wide variety of designs related to the big circles. A common design is a circle with spokes radiating inside. Kennedy said, "In Jordan alone, we've got stone-built structures that are far more numerous than the Nazca lines, far more extensive in the area that they cover, and far older. It's believed that when the designs were first built, they were clearer, and that they have degraded over time because people have been walking over them for so long. There are frequently cairns found linked to the circles. Sometimes they're in the area around the perimeter, and sometimes they are within the circles." What were the circles built for? None of them have been excavated, so dating them is hard, and finding their purpose is even harder. Before Google Earth, archaeologists thought that the circles might have been remains of houses or cemeteries, but Kennedy doesn't think so. He explained, "There seems to be some overarching cultural continuum in this area in which people felt that there was a need to build structures that were circular. The fact that some of the circles stand alone while others are clustered together doesn't help in determining their purpose. In one place, near Izraq Oasis, hundreds of circles can be found clustered together into a dozen groups. In Saudi Arabia, Kennedy and his team found wheel styles that looked different than those found in Jordan. Some of the structures are rectangles, not wheels. Some are circular, but with two spokes forming a bar within the circle. The circles in Saudi Arabia are frequently aligned with the sunset and sunrise in the Middle East. Some of the linked cairns in the Saudi Arabia circles look from the sky like they would have been associated with ancient burials. However, Kennedy says that the cairns were built later when the circles were no longer important. He also says that there would be no reason to have such precise circles for burials. The circles in Jordan and Syria tend to be wheels with numerous spokes that don't seem to align with astronomical events. Kennedy explained of these circles that upon looking at a lot of them over the years, he didn't notice any pattern in how the spokes were built. Due to the precision in the structures, they are not believed to have been pens for animals, and they most likely are not linked to hunting. Emilia Sparavigna, a physics professor at Politecnico di Torino in Italy, wrote in an email, "If we consider more generally the stone circles as worship places of ancestors or places for rituals connected with astronomical events or with seasons, they could have the same function of the geoglyphs of South America, the Nazca lines for instance. The design is different, but the function could be the same." The circles appear to be prehistoric, so dating them is hard, but some could have been built as recently as 2,000 years ago. Sometimes the material found in the circles dates to the early Bronze Age, but many have material from the later Roman era. The wheels are frequently found on top of kites, which date back as far as 9,000 years ago, but kites are never on top of wheels, showing that the wheels must be more recent. All of the Jordan circles are linked to major routes of Western Jordan. They either link to Route 9, NS, or the route from Hauran through Izraq to the interior of northern Arabia. APAAME has discovered its own circle that's only partly standing in Jordan, and the remains of 2 circles that are no longer standing, one in Syria and one in Jordan. Before the Syrian circle was destroyed, it was studied. It was positioned in a way that could be used by someone inside for a panoramic view of the nearby basin, but it was destroyed in fighting during the Syrian civil war, which began in 2010. Although there are other structures, the 12 large stone structures are unique in their size and age. Kennedy wants to bring crews in to excavate the big circle sites. This would allow them to better date the structures and possibly determine their purpose. Who built the giant stone circles in the Middle East? Why were they built? What do you think? Leave a comment and let me know what you think. Thanks for listening to today's episode of That's Ready Mysterious. Join me next week for another captivating mystery.